Yeah,
I see.
this is great. This whole like talk about the badges thing, because it doesn't show up in Restream. So as you see it on the screen here, it's like for us, it was like, what is going on here? We don't understand what AJ is so upset about. But I loaded up the YouTube stream and I see it.
Is he trying to get like a free Godfather's pizza or something?
Yeah, exactly.
I think he is thinking there's some sort of prize at the end of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yes, yeah.
damn it to hell! I said no green M&Ms. I thought I was clear. I need more.
We were just
Gosh.
talking King of the Hill, and that was kind of borderline King of the Hill sounding.
Yeah, I was. It was
Yeah.
King of the Hill inspired.
Yeah, yeah. Mister, nice to see you here. And yeah, AJ's upset because he's got a low number in the chat apparently. Mr. Tarantelli,
Hello, Mr.
hi
Terry.
there.
Mr. Rhodes.
I'm
Chrissy.
glad that getting out of work was easier than getting into work today, AJ.
Oh, if you know, you know.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. All right, we ready?
Ready?
It is
Okay.
8:03. Let's do it.
I should actually like find the graphics panel before I say that. Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. What is it like to become a pilot in midlife? The challenges are unique, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences. You definitely should not take any advice too seriously from an aviation podcast that uses terms like icing on the vegetables. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Whether you're a seasoned pilot, training for a rating, or just thinking about getting started in aviation, we like to think of the podcast as your aviation companion and your weekly dose of aviation inspiration. Tonight it will be an information whiskey. Apparently, we need more. I haven't had enough yet. We'll just be chit chat and catching up on a few things. We won't be talking about all things Mosaic, despite what Ted has put up on the screen as he opens up his vaunted spotted cow.
Spotted cow. Yeah.
Little jealousy going on here. My name is
Yeah.
Ben. I am a commercially certificated pilot with an IFR rating. I'm based, which is now what we call the season of False Fall. We just jumped from Hell's Front Porch to False Fall here in Metro Atlanta. I fly 182. I sometimes call the Beast. Joining me tonight is a private pilot, Nashville, home of the Bachelorette Super Charlie. He lives right there in the heart of Music Row. He flies a Cherokee 180 named Lucy. He is our friend, Brian. Good evening.
Good evening. Super excited to have everybody here. I love the information whiskey format, which is more our style than anything, which is, I mean, we have some things we know we want to talk about. There will be substance here, but, this is more like a hangout.
Nice. Also joining us, he's a sport pilot. He is finally back in Portlandia. He and his flight design CTLS, we call the egg, have spent a significant amount of time together over the last 90 days. They're probably in a quasi relationship at this point in time, or probably a serious relationship. I don't know. It's our friend Ted. Good evening, sir.
Hey, glad to be here. Yeah, I've seen more of my plane than I've seen of my my partner in the last 90 days, I think. So
Yeah.
Are you
I
are
like
you in
them
any
both,
danger?
so,
Are you in any danger of being featured on one of those TLC shows where people are in love with inanimate objects?
I don't know, how well does it pay?
The real question is how upset is your other partner about this with your relationship with your plane?
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
not that upset.
No, I get out of the house, so she's happy.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Yes. Could Brian technically be termed a Nash villain?
Sure. Yeah,
Technically, he could
I think
be.
so.
Yeah, we've got a great crowd in the chat tonight. If you want to join us, we stream this podcast or whatever we call this thing, this chit chat, on YouTube. You can find us at youtube.com/ is it at Midlife Pilot Podcast?
Yep.
I got it right.
You've said this before. Just
I
letting
have.
it, yeah. But yeah, YouTube.
You can
find us.
find everything on our website at midlifepilotpodcast.com. And Brian will get more in that in our belly scrubbing, but wanted to check in with you fellas to see
Yeah.
some flying recap. Ted, you flew back from Oshkosh over a period of days, I believe.
Yeah, we can talk about that in the main show.
Yeah, let's do that in the main show.
Yeah.
Mr. Siskin, any opportunities for you to commit acts of aviation?
I committed acts of aviation on Saturday after a good spell of life getting in the way, which we can all relate to. When you are a midlife pilot, you see people, your peer group, Ted, seemingly untethered by reality or obligation. But not, I know it's not real, Ted, but I'm just saying when I'm not able to fly and you're flying, 19 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't mean it's not an envy. It's just there's ebbs and there's flows to your own flying life. I've definitely been in a little bit of a recession due to life circumstances, and then also anybody that's been in the South just knows it's been ungodly hot, so it's been less than appetizing most of the time to fly. But yeah, I was able to get up for a little bit and just keep things moving with the plane, and it was nice to. I really love the flights where there's no real agenda. I just went and just went and popped around to different airports and went to the one that had the cheapest fuel and came back, and nothing terribly exciting happened, but it was nice to see, just the sky again. It had been a little bit over a month, and I'm so glad that the truth remains that, we've talked about this many times, but just when you're training, taking a week off can just set you back so far, and you've got to relearn all these things. And then after you get your certificate, you better stay on it, because it can still leave you pretty quickly when you're low hours. But then when you get to a certain point, it really is, especially when you have your airplane that you fly all the time, that you're used to, and you're not learning another set of avionics or anything. It's just the familiar environs. Oh, it's just so nice to just hop back in and no sweat, carry on. And, I've got some ideas for trips and things that I'd like to make down the road here, but right now I'm just kind of taking it easy. But yeah, I enjoyed the flying. One quick thing I'll mention is, Ted, you had been posting in the Discord about Dutch rolls.
Yeah.
Northwest Aeronaut video.
Yes. CFI Sam.
Dutch rolls. And it's one of those things where I don't think anybody went through Dutch rolls with me until get ready to drink, everybody, until I got my tail wheel. Hold on, let me drink. But that was really the first time that somebody had put me through Dutch rolls, and I just thought, my gosh, if somebody would have put me through that 5 hours in, it would have changed absolutely everything. And I don't know why that is not more urgent for instructors to get students into when they're understanding their flight controls. But the thing that I wanted to mention about what I did the other day, Saturday, is one of the things that's been on my mind is I've not been through spin training, and I've gotten in training when I was training for a private pilot. I did create an incipient spin scenario with some bad rudder work, but more importantly, it was bad aileron work because I did the thing that everybody does, where you try to pick up the wing with the aileron, and that just made things a whole heck of a lot worse.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
It just it worked out so well that I no longer was allowed to control the airplane, and stuff was flying about inside the cabin. But yeah, so on this flight, I just had been thinking about that a lot, and I was thinking about it in the sense that when you do spins or you're doing incipient spins or stalls or whatever these things are, you're really creating these kind of urgent situations for then you to have the response of opposite rudder to pick up a wing. And I just thought, I'm so nervous that I don't have enough primacy about that. If I'm in a base to final and a wing drops or something like that, I really want to make triple sure that even though I fully understand the flight controls, I want to make full sure that I am using the rudder to pick up the wing. So one of the things I was doing, I just realized, well, I'm just sitting here in cruise at 3,000 feet, bopping around doing kind of nothing. So while I'm making my way to the next airport over, I would just take my hands off the aileron and use the rudder like you do sometimes in cruise anyway. But I would intentionally let the wing dip pretty far, and then pick it back up with just the rudder, and then kind of force it, and then stabilize it, and then take it back the other way. This is just in cruise, nothing crazy going on, no big power adjustments, nothing. And I was just training the correlation of the intention of raising the wing with my feet. And I just thought, wow, this is something that I wish that an instructor would have done with me, because there's something about the repetition of that, as opposed to only when you're freaking out in an incipient spin. That's not the time to sort of claim or rely on that primacy. So anyway, that was just a weird little small insignificant tweak to the flight that I did that was otherwise meaningless and just enjoyable. But I'd never heard of anybody doing that. But that was something I decided to do to train my feet to pick up wings.
Well, Lord Alpha Juliet said, as you were talking about Dutch rolls, he said, "At Ted, you're welcome." I'm not sure if this is why he's thanking himself, but literally my exposure to Dutch rolls was after we took off and we're on our way to the arrival for Oshkosh. And he's like, "You should probably practice that before you do wing rocks." I was like, "Yeah, it's not that big a deal." And we did. Oh yeah, okay. I'm glad you said so. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a place where you use that skill.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just swinging the nose around.
Yeah.
So I am curious, Brian. Was there some? You're probably at the amount of hours where when you get back in the plane from a long break, was there any rust, or did you feel like you were able to slip right back into it?
Nope. Yeah, it was kind of nice. It was actually just because sometimes it's not even about the rust as much as it is. I'm sure a lot of people can identify with this. There's just a bit of a mental trepidation that you have because you just are not in the groove of doing this all the time, and so it's kind of like when I lived in New York City for several years and didn't drive a car. And then I got back out of New York City and got into a car, and I thought, geez, this is insane. It's not that it's hard to drive. It's just, I can't believe that this is how society functions. These are dangerous things with a lot of, these are weapons that people are driving around very haphazardly. So mentally, it took me a minute to kind of get back into relaxing while driving because it seemed so perilous. So anyway, I think sometimes the mental trepidation for people getting back in after a while is more than the skill loss, maybe at some of the stages. But I was fine. I was totally fine.
I did actually have a point here. I feel like if you're in that, pre 100 hour or maybe under 200 hours, a long break, I don't know that it necessarily comes back as easy as when you're at 500 hours or 600, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But it's. I guess the messages for our audience, for the people out there listening is that, if you're a low timer, that's great. Just make sure, you get somebody, take it slow and easy, work yourself back into the groove, go up with somebody or a CFI. But that muscle memory does sink in long term after you, after you've been in the plane for a little while. So,
yeah. Can I interject with one thing that is completely not related to what we're talking about?
Please.
I just wanted to take a minute to thank our friend Ted here. Big shout out for last week's episode, the Mosaic episode. The amount of work that you put into that and the benefit that it was for so many people in our humble community and the feedback that we've gotten on that episode and how helpful it was. Can't thank you enough. It's not, I think it's important for our audience to know that that is not an episode that we take lightly. And it is something that is, we do a lot of self-deprecating talk on here, but that's for a reason. and we try to really stay clear of instructional things. We don't want to, we can talk about our experiences, but we don't want to be prescriptive. And so then even further, when it comes to interpretations of regulations and what it means and practical applications and, all that, we are not instructors and we try to stay away from that stuff. But in this particular case, we really wanted Ted, you just to take off with this thing because you are deeply involved with it, understand it on committees. I'm not on any committees of any kind. So I've never even been asked to be on a committee. I don't know how you get on a committee.
You pay $110 a year, and you're now on ASTM. But yes, no, it's a very kind of strange position where I have more knowledge on this than most everyone. Yeah. And it's weird, but it's like I've been following this so closely that reading through it, I understand exactly what's being said there because I've read everything leading up to it. And it's weird to be like, hi, I am now an expert at reading this one specific rule. But hey, the other thing that I thought about that episode was Mark must have hated it because he couldn't listen at 1.5 speed because he says it's always listening to me that's the problem. And I know that I just trucked through that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, kind of to put an exclamation point on it, the reason in my mind is Ted's been on the journey from the very beginning when the FAA was starting to work on this. And when you have watched it to its evolve to where it became, that's, that we feel like that as a place of not of authority, but somebody of knowledge. And Ted has a lot of knowledge. I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, it's also, we really, obviously, if you guys haven't noticed, we avoid topical matters generally as much as humanly possible and try to make everything as evergreen and long lasting as possible because that's just what we believe in. And so we don't, you guys aren't here for our opinions on the news. There's plenty of places for that. But
yes,
in this case, I think that was the other great thing about it is we were able to do that episode in a way that anybody could be coming in and start to understand more about it. And I know that after some deadlines and other things have happened, we'll come back to that. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time there, but I just wanted to thank you, Ted, for being so much smarter than we are. And, people are like, wow, like Ted's finally, kind of talking at volume on the podcast. People are like, oh my God, these guys actually are sandbagging this guy. He actually knows a lot of stuff. And it's like, no. We've been sandbagging Ted on purpose because he knows a lot of stuff. And when it's me and Ben on one side of this whole brain equation, and then you got Ted on the other, we are forced to stifle Ted and make him play down to our level. So that was one time to go out, free range, run around, and then now back to stupid, Ted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, my role is very much, kind of the third host and I'm good with that. That was one where it's like, all right, I am just ignoring the screen. I'm looking at my notes and we're just going through this. And we even said it to ourselves. It's like, we're not worried about stopping at an hour. It's like, we're just going to get through this. And it took however long it took and we were done. So,
I think we might make an extrovert out of you yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't, before we get to mine and Ted's flying recap, why don't we go ahead and hit the belly scrubbing, Brian? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. So, all right. Housekeeping, the belly scrub. It is. We are grateful for you all making this the best. By the way, hold on a second. By the way, I can see in the stats that people turn this part off. And so I want to do something about that. I'm not sure what I can do to make this more exciting, but we have to get through this. So what I'm going to do is just every week try to read it as fast as I can. And that'll just be the gag. And then you have to stay tuned.
You should put a code word in there. And if somebody calls you out on that code word, we send them a sticker or something.
Yeah, it's like a Midlife Pilot podcast safe word.
Or Easter egg.
All right. We're grateful for you making this the best pilot community that we know of, a positive space where we share everything from training experiences, share personal minimums, tackle ownership challenges, review flight plans, and best of all, make new aviation friends. Connect with us. Join our Patreon community from $1 a month or do one-time annual Patreon, 25 cents per episode. Access exclusive content, including One Dull Geeks check ride debriefs, Killing Zone conversations, and more. And the Discord's 10% supports Freedom Aviation Network's anti-human trafficking efforts. They got a fundraiser coming up in the fall. Please go check it out. Watch us live on YouTube Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Share your stories, midlifepilotpodcast@gmail.com. We read all the messages. You might even hear yours on the show. And for everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, community feedback, merch, and more, visit midlifepilotpodcast.com.
Wow.
Can we buy micro machines now? Yes.
Ted, any well, I know there's updates in the community.
I want to flip it around. I want to hear your stories here. So, you were working on multi last week.
Yeah.
Have you done any more of that?
So as of the last podcast, I had done a 2-hour ground lesson, and then I flew on Tuesday and on Wednesday. It's a whole lot of fun. This is for those of you who don't know yet, it's a Beechcraft Duchess with counter-rotating props, which makes life a little bit easier. It's all steam gauges. It does have a Garmin 430 WASP like mine, so that's kind of nice. It's got a 1400, or let me say this differently, an 1800 error autopilot. It's a Century autopilot, but it works really well. So no complaints on that. It actually has some vertical navigation to it.
Ooh.
It's it's steam gauges, but it is just pure flying. This will tell you something here. I didn't take my iPad.
Yeah.
I did not fly with. The ADSB is not Bluetooth. I'd have to go buy a Stratus or something and do all that, and I'm just not going to fool with all that. I'm only going to be in it for a couple of weeks. So, but we did. I saw that. I think it was our friend Douglas in the chat said that he went out and tried steep turns. That was one of the first maneuvers we did, and I struggled mightily with it. And it's more, I got used to in the Beast finding that sight picture where the horizon splits a dash. Well, first of all, on the Duchess, you cannot see the nose of the airplane. So you feel like, it's just your natural attitude is a nose down. So you have to find that angle and also remember that your general attitude is to be nose down. So it was very easy to lose altitude. After about 3 attempts, I was still sort of getting it. I was deviating a little bit, but it got better. We did a couple of stalls, which were pretty benign in the twin. It was, on both engines, not single engine operation yet. And yeah, I'm trying to think of what else we did. Steep turn stalls. We did a couple of landings. This happened to me when I was doing my private. The first landing I did was like really awesome, and the second one was pretty good. And I hate it when it starts out really well.
Yeah.
I prefer to screw it up at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then of course the instructor was kind of talking me through it, and that's why I did so well. And then the second day we went up and we did some single engine work, or as everybody likes to call it, leg day. Failed an engine, maneuvered around, climbed, made some turns. And then we did a full engine shutdown and restart, which was pretty cool. It's pretty much a non-event. It's getting fuel into the cylinders is the challenge with that airplane. And with most twins is that, you feather the prop, turn it straight into the wind so it's not windmilling. When you're ready to crank it back up, you make it full forward on the prop and put a bunch of fuel in the cylinder, and it'll crank right up without even turning on the starter. So that was kind of cool. And then it was time. We were kind of racing the weather in to get in before the clouds dropped too low on Wednesday, and I kind of butchered the landing on that one. So the next lesson we said we're going to do a lot of pattern work. I went back. I had a lesson scheduled for Friday, but again, the weather's moved in here in Atlanta, and so we just did another ground course. So, but I really like it. I need to just start working on the maneuvers. We've got some other boxes to check, but yeah, I want a twin now.
I wanted to ask you one question, or three questions actually.
Okay.
One, you said you sort of botched the landing. Now you got to do some pattern work. What about what constitutes the botching?
So there was a little bit of quartering headwind going into Peachtree, and I side loaded it. And the other thing is that I struggle with taxing this airplane in general. The Beast is super responsive with the linkage and the gear, and so it's very easy to taxi. This is kind of more sluggish with the taxing around, and maybe that's because of how the linkages are with the retractable gear and what have you. By the way, that was kind of like my favorite part of the first lesson is no usable runway gear up. I don't know why I've always wanted to do that, but I don't have a complex rating, and just wanted to say tap the brakes, gear up. But anyway, it was just kind of off kilter a little bit, kind of side loaded a little bit.
All right, and then next question is: do they? There's always this talk of everything multi is about engine out. Are there any exercises or drills or maneuvers or anything else that are done at partial power in one engine?
Most of the maneuvers are, and actually I forgot to say on Wednesday we did our VMC, which is minimum controllable airspeed. So flying the plane, at very slow speeds on one engine. And that's truly leg day. It's a little bit easier in this airplane, which was still plenty hard for me, but because it's counter rotating props, you don't have a critical engine, which means if everybody knows about the left turning tendencies of single engine airplanes, well, if the propellers are rotating in the same fashion, it makes it worse when you lose that left engine, makes it even more difficult to control because of the P factor and the slipstream and all the other stuff.
Pac-Man says in the comments, use your throttles to taxi.
So and I try, and that's
kind of impressive.
And we do use the throttles, and that's kind of what's messing me up too, because I'm trying to use my feet when I should be using the throttle. But it's I lost my train of thought. It's as they say for the Duchess, there's no critical engines, or they're both critical engines basically, because they're counter rotating.
All right, last question. You mentioned that you're not using an iPad and that this plane is pleasantly primitive. But even further, you mentioned last week, I believe, that your school is using a analog adding machine and other things for you to pay your bill. I caught wind of what you were telling me the other day. I hear that there is an answering machine at your school.
It was a God honest. It was, we got back from my lesson and he hit a button and it went beep. Hey, just wanted to call and check to see if we're still on it. And then beep. Hey, it was another person's voice. It was actually playing and it was awesome. I was flashing back. It was so, he's just that kind of guy. He's just very lovable, and I just love everything about it. So,
we're in the age of no accountability. It used to be that you had one phone in the house with an answering machine, and so if you made some girl mad, or I don't know, whatever it was, they would call your house centrally and start broadcasting on the answering machine their grievances, or or whatever. Like there's we have no accountability anymore. Living in the shadows. But Ted, did you ever have an answering machine?
Yeah. You were really cool if you had one that had two mini cassettes in it, rather than the one mini cassette that had to like fast forward to find the spot after. We're not going to do a Charlie Alpha. That's a different podcast.
Sure.
But as Wendell Geek says, if there are any 20-somethings listening to this podcast, which there aren't, they have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Completely true. We're not going to explain what we mean by, a cassette tape answering machine.
Yeah. And by the way, just for the record, our entire podcast is a Charlie Alpha.
Exactly.
It's just, I don't know. Sometimes you just get so immersed in everybody using AI and everybody using technology, and you're just so immersed in it. It's kind of a refreshing to step out and
Yeah.
have somebody actually write you out a receipt on carbon copy of
Yeah.
your lesson, and looks like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's something to that, and it just, I don't know.
The internet has your credit card now, but go ahead.
You know,
Yeah.
I've got to say, we were talking about you were wearing your nobody cares hat, and we know that you care quite a bit. You said a phrase that is your hat, though. Pleasantly primitive.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I like that
know.
or not. I'll still have to think on that a little bit. But anyway, it was a lot of fun flying. It's a great airplane. It was interesting to me. I asked the question, and it was actually a very interesting response. Why don't more multi-engine airplanes? Why don't they have counter-rotating props? What do you think the answer to that is?
The propeller lobby.
Complexity. It's double your part count. That's my guess.
Well, you got double the part count whether you got two engines or not.
Well,
whether
no,
it's
what I mean is
counter-rotating or not.
double the unique parts required.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, it's not. It's part of that, but it's also very hard to find those parts that go on the engine that go in the opposite way of most normal engines.
Right.
They're hard to come by. So
Yeah.
part availability is really.
You have to
important.
remember what goes on the left and what goes on the right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's no fun.
You know, there are some other engines that spin backward. The ones that I know of are the Jabiru and the VW engines, like what Sonex uses, and other fairly small ultralights use. So
Right.
which is just weird to think about. I was actually talking to Erica about this, I think at Osh, and it's like, are there any of the turning tendencies that remain the same? And no, they all switch. So it's more left rudder every time
Whoa.
when you're in a left turning single.
Yeah.
How
I know we
weird
have
is
a few
that?
listeners in Australia, but
I know.
to me, that should be an Australian thing.
Well, the Jabiru
They
is
do
from
it
Australia.
opposite of us.
Yeah, the Jabiru is from there, so it
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
That's right.
Hey,
So-
Ted. Sorry, Ted. Did you see at Oshkosh? Did you see the? Is it called the Spirit SE or something?
You're talking about that tiny, affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the. Okay, so
Wait a
these are
minute.
gonna be hard
Finish
to
the
explain to
sentence
people
because I don't know what that is.
I know. So the Swift that Brian likes, take that, which is already small, right? It's the size of an air coupe. Take that and now scale it down to about 80% of that. It's a light sport. It's a very light sport. It's supposed to be like 2 gallons an hour, and it's like 50 grand or something, maybe 40 grand.
I think it's 70 grand.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's below 100, which is like unheard of.
But for a brand new polished airplane, the engines are 40 horsepower or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're made in a density altitude area. I mean, they're actually, considering the weight, they're reasonably powerful, and I think they cruise at maybe 100 miles an hour or something.
Yeah. They're supposed to be pretty good.
2 gallons an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. The capacity, I think, is 8 to 10 gallons or something like this, and that seems horrifying to most of us to think about. But for that plane, it's like 4 hours of range.
Yes. Yeah. They're polished aluminum. They're very pretty. They kind of have like, I don't know what you would call it, but it's like on the way down to the wheel is skirted, and so it has this very streamlined look.
Kind
It's,
of retro deco vibe.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Ted, I want to hear about the trip back to Portlandia.
Sure. Let me work.
from
Let's
Osh.
work the other way around, though. You said flying steam gauge and
Yeah.
everything being weird.
Okay.
That was weird. I flew a 150 or 152.
Okay.
I have only flown them very early in training a couple of times. And to be left seat with a CFI, to be left seat and sit there, and it's like, okay, can I take all my hours and fly this thing with only kind of basic POH checklist type knowledge? And I did all right. But, man, I've just got so many habits built up from flying the egg, which is so advanced. And then, I didn't have a knee board. How do you watch ADS-B when you don't even have somewhere to see the tablet, let alone 7 pieces of glass in front
Wait,
of it?
will you set the context a little bit here? When did you fly a 152?
Yesterday. Yeah.
Where?
So
I flew it here. Out of my home airport. The goal is so that I can fly it once the sport pilot rules hit on October 22nd. And so, yeah, went up with the CFI and did, kind of the checkout flight stuff. It's, stalls and turns and landings and all that. Side loaded one landing, but
no technology in the panel whatsoever. No Garmin moving map or anything.
no, no 275 or G5 or anything
So
else.
you actually have to use the windows in front and to the sides to look for traffic.
I can't see anything out the front window. I'm not used to an engine being in the way when I look out the front. That was, also I'm not used to climbing at like 450 feet per minute, but
The powerhouse of a 152.
yeah, exactly. The mighty 152. So, it was, I'm trying to get prepared in a couple of planes and so that I can check the box. Sure reminded me why I love my plane though. And I went straight from that. I went around to the other side of the airport and flew my plane just for a quick little photo mission, like 25 minutes. And it was like, oh yeah, that's what it's like. This is not my 1953 Chevy truck where you can move the steering wheel, a quarter turn before the wheels start to turn. And, you just have to muscle through it. And, correcting the plane with muscle sort of thing. It's, the egg is like, you just turn a little bit and it goes, it's connected to your brain.
So if the 152 experience is so terrible, then why are you doing it?
Because I can, or because I'm about to be able to.
Just the novelty.
Yeah. It's because I've never been able to, like, theoretically, I could go across the country and go rent something. I've never been able to do that.
Well,
before.
I would say for most pilots, I would say if I was having this conversation and you were a normal person, I would say flying other airplanes is very helpful and you can translate a lot of learnings. And when you get back into your typical plane that you fly, you're going to bring some things with you and it's great. But you've already flown 179 different aircraft. So what's happening here?
Yeah, but I've flown for the last 550 hours. I put 550 hours in my plane.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Yeah.
And,
it's been a minute.
Yeah.
There's no better way to gain appreciation for your panel than to go fly somebody else's panel that has absolutely that's almost completely reliant on vacuum pumps.
Yeah. Well, and just the, everything is just natural to me. I don't have to think through how to shut it down or anything else. And getting back to that point, and it's like, I actually have to think how I'm doing this. It was a great experience.
And when you light your cigarette and then when you put it out and all of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I told him, my goal is on October 22nd, which is the Sport Pilot Day when everything goes live. I want to fly the 152 and 172. In addition, not related to that day, but just generally, I want to be able to, I want to have my prop endorsement so I could fly Ben's plane. So, it's like, these are my goals. What am I missing that would keep me from flying a friend's plane? Horsepower and prop. So that's what I've been thinking about with that. But yeah, and knowing, like, how far am I from the airport? I don't know. My tablet's on the ground. Yeah, it was all, I'm so spoiled. Yeah.
Well, so you guys have a choice here. What do you think? I definitely would like to hear a not rushed recollection of your flight back from Oshkosh. But at the same time, I know we've got to get through a bunch of things and we're not
Yeah.
up against it, but we're going to be, so we
I
want
want to
to
forget
bang
things
through
for
it.
sure. Yeah.
So we can do that next time, or we can do it now, or we can do whatever we want because we are our own boss.
Well, let's talk about Patreon and community first.
Sure.
And let's go from there. We have a bunch of new people in Patreon, and we know it because we were doing our thanks recordings to people. At this week, our new Patreon members are at the Hershey Bar level, and that's Greg T, William S, Joel R, Echo Kilo, Zach R, Matthew P, and Aaron G.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Mike Alpha Golf is upgrading back to caps. Our New Orleans friend Meg, always great to see him. I've written down. We usually have a kind of community / Discord section. I just wrote down accomplishments of some of the amazing things that people have been doing lately. So
Yeah.
Zach and BitShifter met up, and they're both in the DC SIFRA area. They flew to Ocean City, Maryland, on the east side of Maryland.
Yeah.
And representing with one of our shirts, which is great. Zach said, my achievement, leveraging the huge community social power of this Discord to meet up with BitShifter and make a $0 an hour flying buddy. So happy for that.
Nice.
I'm so happy that people meet up. Romeo Lima Victor passed either their commercial check ride or cowboy airstrike lead. There's been
Or
some
both.
discussion about which it is. Yeah.
Awesome.
Congrats.
Pete at 9 did VFR over the top and also first time over 10,000 feet. So congrats. Also,
Yes.
bought a very cheap riding lawnmower and made it into an airplane tug. There's been some great conversations about that and how to disable safety switches when you're not using a lawnmower to mow. And we had 2 people do their long solo student cross countries. That's Scott and Mountain Rat Matt.
Yeah.
Congrats to both of you.
Big time.
That's like the highlight of training for me.
Sure is.
Yeah. Alyssa flew a Stearman to do some tail wheel training. She's also been flying a helicopter and been shopping for a Stearman. So
That sounds about par for the course for her.
those are Alyssa level.
That just sounds like a
achievements.
normal week for Alyssa.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like that we should start calling her alternate reality Alyssa.
So let me throw this out there. Opposing Bases has the Charlie Alpha segment. We could probably have a Alpha Mike segment on the podcast.
Yeah.
where you can hear about all of the aviation experiences and endeavors that your brain yet or willpower could never sustain. She is a force to be reckoned with. I
Absolutely.
mean, Stearman,
100%.
R44, and I have a soft spot for her airplane because it's very similar to mine. But to be like, you know what, I think I'm shopping for a Stearman. That is baller. So I hope that works out. And
Yeah.
I think that she's gonna end up with a gigantic hangar full of things in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Last one I wrote down was Chris C. Talked about flying in the smoke, and these are the conversations I really like. He talked about being up high in the smoke and not having a visible horizon, and he started to get a little case of the leans. It's like you're legally VFR without a horizon, and
Yeah.
that can be a tough experience. So I'm glad that he shared that.
Yeah.
Again, these stories are just, this is why we love the Discord.
Yep.
Learning so much from there.
I still can't believe that my instructor let me go up on my second solo in the practice area during a previous wildfire smoke situation, and visibility was probably 4 or 5 miles. I mean, it was basically, especially for a student at that stage, it
Right.
was IFR.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
and he was up with another student at the same time. I'll never forget this. I've actually got a video of it somewhere, but he actually radios from another plane because he's also in the practice area. He's like, "So pretty wild up here right now, huh, Brian?" And I was like, "Yes, indeed. I'm actually on my way." I just turned around and went back to the airport, because it was too much for me. But really quickly, I just want to say because I think that Richard had posted, Yankee 88 Richard had posted, I think, something in the Discord that was a picture of what it looked like in 5 miles visibility. And I just wanted to remind people that don't be like me, where early on in my flight experience, I thought 5 miles visibility should be fine for me at, when I was at 100 hours. And then you get into a situation where that's actually the visibility, and it is unnerving. And you
Yes.
can get into situations like this. And so we're so hard coded to be just thinking about entering incidental IMC and
Right.
being in the clouds. But in reality, what it is there are so many gradients between total visibility and no visibility. And the closer you get, those things can really, really sneak up on you. And I've been in situations too where it wasn't even necessarily the visibility was so bad. Maybe it was 5 or 6 miles, but the way that the sun was hitting that smoke from behind me, and then, effectively blinding me for everything that's in front, so you've got this kind of wash of a glare. So even though it is technically 5 miles, just be mindful about your minimums and, treat 5 miles with respect.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we kind of get back on to the non-topic topic, the ramblings that we normally do. I'm fascinated. Speaking of long cross countries, Ted always takes that to a completely different level. Ted went from Wisconsin to Oregon by way of Indiana, because that's what people do.
Yeah. So coming back from Osh, first of all, Bravo Kilo was working when I left Osh, so he called me out on the runway. I'm working on a video of that, but it's weird being cleared to leave Osh, and then, is that Ted? Like, okay, this is the world we live in. Yeah, so I flew, actually had to land at Alyssa's airport and wait a minute because the weather was so terrible, and just kind of bounced around a little bit. And then I finally got out, flew down, did the Chicago skyline. It was great. Glad I was able to do that.
Was there a lot of traffic?
No. I think because the weather was so bad, it was just kind of, everything was starting to lift. So ceilings were like 3,500. So
that's one way to avoid crowds in aviation.
Yeah. Go when nobody should be out. No. So yeah, there were only a couple of planes along the Skyway. But yeah, I went from there. I shot down to St. Louis, which I'd actually planned that before leaving for Osh, to spend one night down in St. Louis. And I'd never been there. I went up the arch, left the next day, and went back up to the middle of Illinois.
Did you Martha Lunken the arch?
Oh man, there has been discussion about that. I was really hoping the ATC would say, for traffic, turn left, maintain 600 feet.
Sorry, I was just doing what ATC told me to do.
Man, yeah. I was only at like 1,200 feet though. You're not going to be at 3,000 feet through there. Like, you really want the experience of it. But yeah, it was really cool to see. And it's right on the river. The airport is right there. It's really cool. So I went from there back up to the middle of Illinois and met my partner, who I hadn't seen in like a week and a half. And we saw her family for about 3 days. And then from there I left, and my goal was head west. And that didn't work out because, as I've learned, on your side of the Rockies, there are storms.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll cover like 2 states. And so you're like, I am either waiting here until tomorrow, or I'm flying 2 states south or 2 states north to get away from this. So I flew to Mexico, Missouri, which I knew has MoGas. It's the home of Zenith. And so I had to wait on the ground for a little bit. I walked over to Zenith and said hi and explained sport to them, the light sport rule changes, which is weird to be an expert. And then left, and from there was the Fly West. So, yeah, I left there and flew back to Utah. So Illinois to Utah, it's a good 10 plus hours from there. I went to camp at this airport in Utah, fairly remote, and it's like, I'm just gonna camp like under my wing for the night. I'm gonna get there not long before dark. I'm gonna leave it in the morning. I also knew they had a tiny, we're not gonna call it an FBO. It's like a community shack, like 3-room building, but I knew there was a couch in there. I was like, cool, I'll just take in my sleeping bag. I walk in there, and they were in the process of replacing the toilet, and so there was no toilet, and so it was open to the room, and so the whole building smelled like sewer. And okay, great. I'll just sleep under my tent in the grass right behind my plane, which was right underneath the airport beacon. I thought I'd be able to ignore that, and I couldn't. So, foomp, foomp. Every time it goes past, you can't cover your eyes enough to like, unless you really put your arm over your head, there's no way to drown that light out. So that was quite the night of sleep. But from there, it's like 5 hours home. So
It makes me think of the movie My Cousin Vinny, when they go to the southern town and it's the train and it's the dog.
everything happened. Yes.
Did you look for a dimmer on the beacon? Maybe there was a dimmer.
Yeah. Planes crashed. Like, how did that happen? Oh, I don't know.
Couldn't
I
sleep.
have no idea. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So it was a great trip, and it was great to get home and, get the plane mostly unpacked.
You've pretty much got that route from Oregon to Utah down.
Oregon to Utah, I know very well.
Yeah.
Be doing it again soon. And then going up and over the Rockies, I've done the Wyoming route a few times now.
So
Yeah.
what's the mileage count?
Oh, I don't know the miles, but this trip was about 58 hours. The Texas trip was about 55. So roughly that means 5,800 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Dude.
yeah.
So he's had more hours in his airplane in the last 3 months than I have the last 14, 15 months, I think. That's crazy, man.
I look forward to, because I make sure to check these with a custom box in ForeFlight, but I look forward to possibly taking a private check ride, and when they ask about a cross country, saying, sure.
Yeah.
How cross country would you like?
How many
Yeah.
how many Gatorade bottles of urinary evidence do you need?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm probably coming to you for advice on this, but I'm actually planning a trip in my airplane to Utah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go here,
Oh, that's
Marietta,
right.
Georgia.
I remember you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, going to go in October, I think.
Yeah.
If everything, as long as our engine doesn't explode between now and then.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll have a great time. You're going to relatively southeast Utah.
Yep.
And you don't have the leaded gas worries that I do, which is
Nope.
one of the reasons I avoid that area.
Right.
But yeah.
So the more lead, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Hey man, you fly a 152. You can put whatever you want in that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Pick a
Yeah.
carrot juice in that thing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You had made a comment earlier about flying at 11,000 on the angle of attack indicator.
Yeah. So when I was flying to Oshkosh, I was flying at 11.5 over the terrain, and which is legal as a sport pilot, believe it or not. And I had 3 hours of turbulence, and I'm used to it now. It's still stressful. I kind of knew what to do, but I was kind of modifying my route and just keeping these angry clouds right off my wing. So I would never turn toward them. I just keep them 90 degrees off, and it could be a little further north than I planned on going, which is fine. But the whole time, because it's so turbulent and there's such updrafts and downdrafts, you're sitting there flying along at the same speed, about 102 knots true, and the AOA would go off suddenly, and because it's just starting to stall, and getting that instinct built in is something that I've really kind of honed lately, which is, you hear that, your instant reaction is push forward. It doesn't matter that you're going fast 11,000 feet. You lost lift.
Yeah.
You need to push down, and yeah, and that's, you don't fly autopilot in that stuff because it tries to over control the plane.
Right.
So yeah, so that was a fun experience. I was also, you'll love this, because I was 11,000 feet doing 102 knots with a good tailwind, so ground was a lot faster, and it was burning 3.2 an hour. So at full throttle, basically. So yeah.
See, this is why somebody's got to get the the Spirit.
Yeah.
Just so
The
that
Spirit
somebody's just aghast at your insanely excessive fuel burn.
Yeah. And then he's like, I was doing 87 and 1.8. And
Yeah. So Banjo Pilot's got a comment here. It says, to me, he says, Steve expects you in Denver soon. Get planning. So I just wanted to give some context around this. I have been invited to do some death-defying flying in a Giles in the Denver area, some aerobatic mountain flying, and Banjo Pilot's friend Steve does this. And when they were telling me about what they were doing, I just thought I want to do that. And so of course it's, well, come on out anytime. So then I think, okay, well, how am I going to do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, okay, all I got to do is get there. Okay, what do I do now? So
All right, so Banjo Pilot, I'm going to fly to Nashville. I'm going to pick Brian up,
yeah,
and I'm going to
Let's go.
fly him there that myself.
yes,
Drop him on
Just
the way off.
sole
Yeah.
reason, so I can watch him get out of the airplane once he's done.
Yeah.
I will
Try to-
film that, and I will enjoy it immensely.
Yeah,
I mean,
you want to watch me clean up my own vomit from the Giles.
I just want to see you green. I don't even want to watch you clean up vomit. I just want to.
I got a
So,
strong
let's-
stomach, like cast iron.
Yeah.
Hey, there was a message we had earlier that I wanted to kind of throw as AJ likes it when we say throw it around the horn. And it was John Rice. Hi, John. I think you're relatively new around here. John said, I just had an annual condition inspection and service on my Zenith 750 stall.
Cool.
I plan to fly tomorrow, spending time in the pattern. Any other suggestions for the first post-annual flight? Now, it's an experimental, which is just different than what any of the three of us fly. But what do you do after your after an annual?
It's nothing super special. I like to run it at high power settings above the airport. I'll climb to 2,000 or 3,000 feet above pattern altitude and just stay within gliding distance to the airport. And I am, while I'm watching for traffic, I am also watching all my CHTs, EGTs, listening for something that shouldn't be sounding sounds. So, that's basically what I do. It's when they're doing the condition inspection, I guess maybe you can do some maneuvers, check in your flight controls before you take off. I would strongly recommend that. Make sure they rig everything the right way if they're doing anything with the rigging. So,
Yeah,
Brian, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's all about how slow can I go in this whole process. And I kind of find myself doing everything twice, I will fully pre-flight the plane and then I'll finish and then I'll go, okay. And now I'm going to walk around the opposite direction or give myself some other way of looking at the plane that's not within the biorhythms of how I usually do it and force myself to do it again real quick. And then for the run up, I do, 2 full run ups all the way back down to checking idle. And then I'll do it again. I kind of just it's not a ritualized practice, but I find myself doing everything twice and doing everything very, very, very slowly and making sure that if I find myself in a position where anything is interrupting my flow, for instance, if I'm taxiing and I feel like I need to get out of somebody's way or I'm going to hold somebody up or whatever, I'll do whatever the first duck out. I don't want anything distracting me. I do that after an annual or any major maintenance flight or anything like that. And then I do, everything else is kind of what you're saying, Ben. I guess the only other thing I would say is that I'm locked and loaded on the roll, on the takeoff roll because, I am dying to find something right. That's the moment. That's when I want to find out something ain't right. So I'm very focused at that time. Then once I begin my climb, I dig out the rosary or whatever I can find, any kind of holy water. But then I realized the way I've lived my life, please don't call any attention to yourself by some moral greater judgment. Put that stuff away. Don't ask for favors right now.
Right.
And then I question my entire existence. But by the time I've done that, I'm already at 3,000 feet circling above the airport and going from there. So it's all good. But I do what you do, Ben. I circle above the airport, put it through some paces, get some full power, climb going in, and don't overstress it. Just climb normally, get into a cruise climb, keep it going, but just stay near an airport.
I definitely prefer to be at a towered airport in those situations, because you do have one less worry of traffic and that kind of thing. If you needed to turn around and land the other way or something else, you've got somebody helping you out. There was a recent Ask the ANPs where Mike Bush, which that should be on our bingo list, but where Mike Bush and that team was asked, and they said, what do you check for as mechanics? And they said, whatever it is I touched. And so when I do an oil change, I'm really watching my oil pressure and temperature, right? If you had panels off, you're checking every fastener there, right? Whatever it is, those are the things that you're most suspicious about. And especially after a condition inspection where you've torn it apart a little ways, there's a lot to worry about. But that's the thing. And
the other thing is tools. Making sure there's nothing been left in a weird place or still attached to the plane. Any kind of tools or adapters or just any kind of weird thing that might still be affixed to the plane. And sometimes when people are buttoning things up, there's miscommunication about who did what, and something hasn't been torqued. So just because you see it, doesn't mean that it's done. Go to what you're saying, Ted. If it's something that has been touched, go put your hands on it. Do a more tactile check of everything, because if something's finger tight, it's like, okay, that's not ideal. So all of those things. But I think that I think mainly it's just being slow, deliberate, change up your routine a little bit, and then use your checklists and you do your flows and be redundant with yourself. And you can use our friend Barry's checkmate checklists for that. And they're not to-do lists, they are checklists. So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do that every year, right? That are plane owners. And if you're renting, it's actually happening more often than that. And if you're a renter, you're a little more primed to expect something to be wrong, because the last person that got on the plane may be as terrible as me. So, you never know what's happened, what 100-hour inspection just happened, that kind of thing. But as an owner, you start getting lazy because you're like, I know who flew this last and what the normal worries are about this.
Yeah, that guy's an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Especially the ones, as Mr. says, don't leave your Rolex in the engine.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a quality problem.
That is good. It's a first world. Hey, we've had a great group in the chat tonight. So I want to say thanks to everybody there. I have an idea, Brian. I say that if we get a 5-star review before the next episode, you will keep the belly scrub to just one sentence.
Ooh.
Right. Our listeners to keep the belly scrub to a minimum.
Or can I just? What if I can say them all in one breath?
I'm good with that. One breath is fine.
Yeah.
So please leave us a 5-star review on Apple. We would greatly appreciate it, and subscribe us on your podcast, whichever app you use. Anything else for the good of the order, gentlemen?
I don't think so.
So my bit of wisdom comes from multi-engine training tonight. The good engine takes you to the crash site. The bad one decides how fast you get there. Signing off episode 140 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you.